Hello guys, welcome to our virtual classroom. Today we're going to be learning about one-step equation, two-step equations, and multi-step equations. So let's get to it. All right, so let's get started. When you're solving for n or you're solving for any variable, the goal is to isolate the variable by itself. No matter if it's a one-step problem, a two-step, a multi-step, your goal is always to isolate the variable. So what you would want the end result to be is a variable. We'll just use n in this case. N is equal to a number, or a number is equal to n. And how do we do this? How would you do this, right? So different problems are going to you're going to need different approaches. So for this problem, 78 is equal to 13, you have to look at what they're giving you. So you know that your problem at the end is going to look something like a number is equal to n, right? And they gave you 78 is equal to 13. So what you first have to do is you have to think about operations. The operations that you see currently is this, the 13n. The 13n is basically 13 times n. And you have to think about, how do I get rid of the 13 from the n? Because remember, your goal is here. You want to get a number is equal to n. So you have to think of the operation. So what operation could I use that will get rid of the 13 but leave the n? And the closest operation we have to do the opposite of multiplication is division. So basically you would just do division. 13, right? You would divide it by 13 because that will leave you one n. And then it's equal. You can't forget about the other side, because the rule is once you do something to one side, you have to do it to the opposite side in order to balance, right? We want to make sure we're balancing out. So you would divide 13 to this side. So then you have a math problem, right? The math problem is 78 divided by 13, and you need to have the number, and then it's 13 divided by 13. Well, we know 13 divided by 13 is just going to be 1n, or you could just do n, and it'll be equal to 78 divided by 13. So that part will be easy. You can either just do it by natural math in your head, or you can use a calculator. And 78 divided by 13 is 6. So your answer would be 6 is equal to 1n. Or you can just do 6 is equal to n. Now, on this side, we got to look at what operations are we using here. It says x divided by 9 is equal to negative 6. So what's the opposite of, well, negative 6 we can't really do anything to. It's sitting there by itself. It's already isolated. But we want to isolate the variable x. So what I have to do is get rid of the 9. And if I'm dividing, I would use the opposite operation of 9. And the opposite operation of 9 is, or the opposite operation of division is multiplication. So I would multiply by 9. Now, will I just multiply by 9 to one side? No. Remember the rule. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the opposite side. So if I did this, this is basically going to be 9 times x, 1x over 9, which will just leave you with the x, right? And it's going to be equal to negative 6 times 9. And that's going to give you a negative 54. So that's how you do these two problems. These are the first two problems. They kind of lead you into solving for x. So we're going to do some more problems, right? That's the answer. And also, if you wanted to check, you can also go back and you can plug in 54 or negative 54, negative 54 over 9, and that would equal negative 6. All right, so it all works out. That's your check. Check. So we're going to go on to some more problems. The next problems are a little bit different. Now they gave you more numbers to work with, but you're still doing the same thing. You're not going to change up anything that you're doing. You're still going to try to isolate the variable. In this case, for this one, the first variable is a. So what you want to have at the end, your goal is going to be some number is going to be equal to a. Sorry, my a looks a little messed up, but I'm doing the best I can. Now, you're going to use see what operations. Let's identify the operations. I see that we have math, we have addition here, we have addition, we have a negative, but that's not really going to do anything. It's sitting over there by itself. So what we want to do is we want to move all of our constants. And if you don't know, constants are just regular numbers. They don't change. Our variables are not constants, because if you plug in a number for the variable, it will change the number. But our constants, right, our constants don't change. So they stay constants. Oops, there we go. Did the best that I could. Constant, right? So our constants stay the same. So we need to move this constant to this side. And the way we do that is we do the opposite operation of 6, plus 6. And the opposite operation of plus 6 is negative 6. And if you do negative 6 over here, you have to do the same thing on the other side. So you do a negative 6 over here. What that gives you is a negative 9. And the negative 9 is going to equal, basically the 3 just comes down. It's going to give you a 3a. And now we go back to the problem that we had previously, right? When you have a negative 9, the operation that's left over is 3 times a. So to get rid of the 3, we would do the opposite operation, which is division. We would divide by 3. And we won't just divide by 3 to one side. We have to divide by 3 to both sides. So negative 9 divided by 3 is going to equal a negative 3. And 3 divided by 3 is going to equal a 1a. So that will be your answer. The answer would be negative 3 is equal to a. Right? Because 1a is just a. Right? And moving on to the next one, it gives you something a little bit different. Right? We still have to work with the order of operations. Order of operations always says that we handle our exponents if there's no exponents. Parentheses first, then we handle our exponents. We do have parentheses, so let's distribute. We're going to distribute, meaning we're going to share. It's like your mom giving you cookies and you're sharing with your little brothers and sisters, but your little brothers and sisters already ate 7 of their cookies. Basically, you have to give them some more and they're going to eat more cookies. Maybe that wasn't the best example, but you're going to distribute 6 to both either the variable and the number on the inside. So you just bring the 12 down because nothing happened to the 12. But basically, this is going to be 6 times n minus 7 times 6. Because remember, you're distributing this 6 to both numbers. And that's going to give you 12 equals 6n minus 7 times a negative 7 times 6 is going to be 40, a negative 42. Right? Now that you have this, you do the same thing that we did here. It's basically you're at this point now. So what did we do? We looked at our operation, we saw that that's a negative, so we're going to add to get rid of it, because remember, what is our goal again? Our goal is always to get n equal to our number. That's our goal. So we're going to add 42 to this side. We're going to add 42 to this side. And we're going to see what we have left. So this is going to zero out. We're going to have 12 plus 42 is going to be 54. And it's going to be equal to the 6x that we have here. And then when we have the 6x, we're going to, what operation? This is multiplication, so we're going to do the opposite of that, which is divide by 6 to both sides. And when we divide by 6 to both sides, we're going to get 54 divided by 6. And our n is going to equal 9. And that will be our answer. So that's how you do one-step equations and two-step equations. You follow the same process in order to do multi-step equations. So multi-step equations will look like this. First, you want to combine like terms. So you want to simplify. So these like terms over here are already simplified, but the other side we got some work to do. So what you want to do is you want to add the m with the m and the 4 with the 4. So m plus m is going to give you, you just have 2 m's. And 4 plus 4 is basically 4 plus 4 is 8. So this is the equation you're left with. And basically you do the same thing. What is our goal? Our goal is to isolate the m, right? We want m to equal some number. We don't know the number, and that's what we're trying to find out. So how do we isolate the m? We have things on both sides of the equal sign now. So this is a different way to look at it. So you basically do the same thing. You do the opposite operation to move the variable to the other side. I like going this way to this way. I'm going to take the 2 and move it to the opposite side, because if I move the 5, it's going to give me a negative number, and I really don't like to work with negatives if I don't have to. So we're going to do a 2m, a negative 2m to both sides. Negative 2m to both sides, because once you do something to one side, you have to do it to the other. That's going to give me 3m. The 4 just comes down. The negative 4 is going to be equal to, this is going to zero out, and the negative 8 just comes down. I mean, the positive 8 comes down. And that's the equation. Now, I still don't have what I need right here. I still don't have m is equal to a number. So I'd have to move something else. I have to move this constant. So this number I have to move. So I'm going to move the number by doing the opposite operation. Opposite of a negative is positive. So I'm going to add 4. But what I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. I'm going to zero out. And I'm going to get 3m is equal to 12. 3m is equal to 12. And what I'd have here is the same thing we had at the beginning when we first started in our one-step equation. This is just a one-step equation now. So it's going to be 3m, 3 times m basically. So we're going to divide by 3. We're going to do the opposite operation of multiplication, which is division. We're going to divide both sides by 3, because once you do something to one side, you have to do the other side. And the m is just going to be by itself. It's basically m, or you can put 1m. If you're that person that likes to be precise, you can put 1m, but the m suffices. And then it's going to be 12 divided by 4. I mean 12 divided by 3, which is 4. and that's your answer. M equals 4. So I'm going to leave the last problem for you to get a little practice. You could try it out. And thank you for watching.